Johnny's birthday was not yesterday, and Johnny's birthday is not today. It is somewhere in between. It's invisible. You might say comes out of nowhere. His birthday is the 29th of February. And so it comes out of nowhere. And there's certain traits and habits that I'm very fond of in people. And one is the non sequitur. And the non sequitur, Latin literally means it does not follow. And what it is like in like a conversation or in a circumstance where something is said and it just came from sort of nowhere. And what I love about it is that like the person who commits non sequiturs, it's like their brain is thrumming along completely outside of the drumbeat of the current conversation. And with Johnny, it happens often. Johnny will say something and I'll be like, wait, what? Just for example, just last week, two circumstances, we were sitting and all of a sudden he says, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning last night. I did the day's Wordle and then I went back to bed. And I was like, wait, what? Last week we were at Westminster Canterbury, and they love Johnny over there. And so we're this group of about 10 or 12 residents at Westminster Canterbury, and then about 10 or 12 students. And one of the residents, she was thirsty and she needed a drink, and so I was frantically trying to find a glass of water. Meanwhile, the group is just hanging out and discussing. So we finally acquired that glass of water, and I turn around, and then I hear Johnny say this: when I was in the 2nd grade, I called my best friend's mom a prostitute. I was like, what? Thankfully, the residents at Westminster Canterbury found that hysterical, as they should have. Of course, I was like, did you know what a prostitute was, Johnny? And he's like, no. So there's a lot of, I didn't see that coming with Johnny, and I got this all last year when I taught him. One time, famously in class, he was reading an essay, and all of a sudden he starts making the trombone noise that happens in Charlie Brown, when an adult talks. It's like, wah, 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 wah. He starts doing that when he's reading the essay. And I didn't think that it could get more absurd than that, but then he broke out into singing Simple Man by Lynyrd Skynyrd in his essay, which he then sang in class. So you'll have to remember that Johnny just arrived as a student at VES last year, and I've only been his advisor this year, but everything about him has been a wonderful surprise to sort of come out of nowhere. And I count him among the most faithful students I've ever taught. It's rare to encounter someone so loyal. About 100 years ago, Ernest Hemingway wrote these rather bleak but kind of powerful lines, and this is Ernest Hemingway. And he said, if people bring so much courage to this world, the world has to kill them to break them. So of course it kills them. The world breaks everyone, and afterwards many are strong in the broken places. But those that will not break, it kills. It kills the very good and the very gentle and the very brave, impartially. If you are none of these things, you can be sure it will kill you too, but it will be no special hurry. I would say that maybe that could be true, but only if people like Johnny are not around. Johnny is an advocate for the very good and the very gentle and the very brave. So if the world wants to mess with those things, it's going to need to watch out for Johnny. I had Larissa look at this before I presented it to you, and after she read it, she said, so what you're saying is Ernest Hemingway is wrong because he doesn't know Johnny? And I said, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Thank you, Mr. Knable. Thank you, Mr. Knable. And just for the record, someone told me to tell my friend's mom that, so I didn't just say that. When I was sitting on my computer on my couch on the morning of August 27th, 2020, I would have never guessed where I would be in 2 weeks. I wasn't thinking very hard about what I would be doing anyway, since I had just fallen asleep during online school with my camera on. When I woke up to my teacher calling my name, I had an epiphany that online school wasn't really for me. When I first set foot on VES's campus, I thought it was giant. As Mr. Price showed me around the halls of Randolph, I still did not feel like I would ever be able to leave behind all of my friends back home. Still, as I walked around Box for the first time and met Mr. Clark and Mr. Swain, I was astonished by the green grass, the mountain in the distance, and the white tents and Adirondack chairs perfectly placed across the lawn. In the end, my parents convinced me it would be better for me to try something new and attend VES. I didn't object, and I applied the same night. Then I got in the next day, and the day after that, I was moving in to start the 2020-2021 school year here. The two most important lessons I've learned in high school are the value of calling people by name and the importance of thanking people. When you call someone by name, it makes them feel valued and as if they belong in the community. When you take the time to call someone by name as opposed to just saying, "Hey," or "Sup, bud," it means so much more than you would think. I also firmly believe in treating people decently, no matter who they are or if you know them. This does not mean you have to be best friends with everyone, but it implies that you should show everyone respect and kindness without expecting anything in return. Being nice and calling people by name can have such a profound impact, and if you don't take anything else away from this counselor talk, remember these 2 points. Many years ago, I read a book called 365 Thank Yous, written by John Kralik. The story in the book is simply confounding. A man who has just hit rock bottom starts to write a thank you note every single day for a year. He thanks people in his life for gifts or just for simple acts of kindness like holding the door. As the story progresses, the economy crashes, the bank across the street from his office fails, and he struggles. But by the end of the book, the trajectory of his life has completely changed. So I want to challenge y'all today to thank more people and to call as many people as possible by name. I want to finish this off by thanking as many people as possible. Thank you to the admissions team for helping me come to this school on such short notice the week before school started last year. Thank you to Larry, Brian, George, and the many other housekeepers who are the reason we were able to have a clean campus. Thank you, Mrs. Little, Simone, Jalen, Alyssa, and the other people who serve us food regardless of the weather or the day of the week. Thank you to all the teachers at this school who dedicate so much to creating a fun and rigorous learning environment, and especially my old teachers and current teachers, Dr. P, Mrs. Rim, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Knable, Mr. Rivenberg, Mr. Sedlar, Mrs. Burris, Mrs. Anderson, C-Dubs, Ms. Tuck, Mr. Aldridge, and Mr. Stroud. Thank you, Mr. Ainsley, Mr. Button, and the deans for doing a lot of work behind the scenes to keep VES running smoothly. Thank you to all of the students who go to school here. Y'all are the reason VES is VES. Also, thanks to all the P-Town boys for making this year great on dorm, and shout out to the guys who made it so great last year on Randolph. Also, RIP Drew, Jake, Vito, John, Charlie, and of course, Thomas Worth. Thank you, Randolph Tunnel and Black Box, for being two of the most interesting places on campus. Thank you, Charlotte, for asking me for a shout-out last night. And thank you to my parents for giving me the opportunity to come to this school and learn in a rigorous classroom environment 3 hours from home with such great people. Thank you.